Today's top stories. Iran's Foreign Minister Manoucher Mottaki on Thursday responded to the United States' latest threat to impose sanctions against Tehran over its nuclear program by reiterating that the program was peaceful. On Wednesday, Secretary of State Clinton warned of crippling sanctions against the Islamic Republic if diplomatic measures fail to resolve the nuclear dispute. Speaking in Brussels, where he was attending an international donors conference on Somalia, Mottaki told reporters, quote, "My advice to Ms. Clinton is to study the peaceful background of Iran's nuclear activities." Iran said on Wednesday that it welcomed constructive talks with major powers on its nuclear program, but asserted that it would press ahead with its nuclear activities. Leading the Friday prayer sermons in Tehran today, head of the Expediency Council Ayatollah Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani said in his second sermon that the remarks made on Wednesday by U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton were just like those of former President George W. Bush, and not a sign of goodwill. Clinton told the House Foreign Relations Committee on April 22nd that her office supported engagement with Iran, but at the same time considered preparing painful and crippling sanctions if the diplomatic measures do not produce results. When she talks in this way, what is the difference between what she says and what Mr. Bush used to say? What has changed to warrant their excessive expectations from us? This is not a sign of goodwill if you say we are adopting a twin-track policy, preparing both for painful sanctions and for talks. The meaning of this is that the talks must only serve your interests. In another part of his sermon, Rafsanjani spoke about Iran's June 12th presidential election. He said the election officials must ensure that the elections are healthy so that people can vote with confidence. He then addressed those who, according to him, intend to deface the credibility of the system. Turning one's back on the ballot box is nothing but detrimental to the people themselves, because even if we don't participate, if people don't participate, something will eventually come out of the ballot box. And evidently this is what will happen. If the masses do not participate, a minority will vote, and the person they want will win. This is not to the benefit of anyone. This cannot be to the benefit of anyone. And at the same time, the credibility of the system will be defaced. And maybe some want it to be defaced, but at the end of the day, since our elections are better than those of all the countries around us, that which they desire will not happen. Therefore, we must all try. These people must feel duty-bound to participate and cast their votes. According to a report published today by Iran's semi-official ISNA news agency, in a gathering of former and present deputies of the Majlis, former President of Iran Mohammad Khatami rejected the claim made by the supporters of President Ahmadinejad that the latter has no election campaign headquarters set up for the upcoming presidential election, and said that all the resources of the country are in the hands of one person. Ali Akbar Javanfeka, Ahmadinejad's media advisor, told a gathering of Tabriz University students on April 17th that Ahmadinejad will have no election campaign headquarters for the forthcoming presidential election. And regarding Ahmadinejad's previous victory, he said, quote, "Ahmadinejad did not spend a penny on that election win. He made no campaign promises, and all the campaigning was done by the people themselves." Noting that a difficult path awaits the pro-reform candidates in the election, Khatami said, quote, "The resources are not distributed fairly. The competition is not based on equal footing. All national and extra-national outside the country resources are at the disposal of one side, while the most basic resources are denied to the other side. The organization which should broadcast the voices of everyone to everyone is in the control of a specific group, and it is difficult for the other side to use various platforms. Some people do not need election campaign headquarters since the whole country has been turned into their election campaign headquarters, while others have difficulties financing their election campaign headquarters. In this unequal climate, it is difficult to compete, but one must nevertheless show up in the arena." Twin suicide bombings on Friday near a revered Shiite Muslim shrine in Baghdad killed at least 60 people, including 20 Iranian pilgrims. One day after suicide bombers killed at least 89 people in Baghdad and Diyala province. Another 125 people, including 80 Iranian pilgrims, were wounded in today's attack at the Imam Musa al-Qadim shrine in the Shiite neighborhood of Kadhimiyat. These stories and more at TelevisionWashington.com.